Good evening and welcome to the June 10th meeting of the June 12th meeting, of the Ways and Means Committee to discuss the FY18 operating budget. Will everyone please rise and salute the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Janino?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch? Here. Here. Councilor Rotundo is absent. And Chairman Powers?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
This evening, we're going to discuss again the operating budget for FY18. I'm going to take the mayor first because he has a previous engagement. Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, where are the pages on the numbers on here?
Mr. Chairman, my apologies to the committee. We presented a budget that did not have page numbers. We will make sure that the council is furnished with a budget that includes page numbers tomorrow. In terms of my budget, Mr. Chairman, my office budget, you will find that it is level funded with the exception of a salary reserve account, which this council had approved last year, and that was for retro pay for union negotiation and raises related to union negotiations. The amount that was plugged in is an assumption for the 3% that we've given to the unions that we have negotiated with, and includes an amount for the bargaining units that we have not yet reached an agreement with. So there's some room for us to negotiate with each union. But as you know, the unions that we have been able to come to agreement with, we've had good agreements, solid agreements that have generally been in the range of 1%, 2%, 3%.
So the ones that haven't signed, that's just an estimate?
So the ones that we haven't signed with are Unit A, Unit B, and Unit B. And those are two that and the police superior officers.
I'm going to open this up now to questions from the councilors. Councilor Ganasso?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Janino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have a chance to review the budget, and it's a very lean budget, Mr. Mayor. You did a great job, and I look forward to going over the departments with the respective department heads. I have no questions.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Morabito?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I reviewed the budget. I was up late last night and couldn't find any errors. It amazes me how fine-tuned it is and how lean it is. So good job to the mayor, chief and zoning, department heads.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't find anything wrong with the budget. Seems to be as low as it possibly can be. But I do have a question. There is a rumor going around that the chief administrative officer is going to be leaving, or is that, I see he's in the budget for next year. I'm just wondering if that's just a rumor, or if it's going to happen.
Right. So, Councilor Patch, to your question, as you know, the residency waiver that was approved by the City Council expires June 30th of this year. At that point, the Chief Administrative Officer will no longer be an employee with the City of Revere because that is expired. I am budgeting this position because I do, look to have somebody. I think I need to have another body in that position or in my office. The amount, is the amount that was previously budgeted. I would request that that's going to give me some flexibility in terms of finding somebody. But to your point, to your question, to answer it very directly, the waiver expires on June 30th. I told this council that I wouldn't be, asking for any extensions. I don't plan on asking for any extensions. I know that the Chief Administrative Officer will not be moving to the city, so upon June 30th, he will no longer be an employee for the city. And I will add that that is a big loss for the City of Revere.
Okay, but I do, I just, 120,000, as you remember, at the Ways and Means last year, that I tried to reduce that, and it's an awful lot of money for, that I think, for a chief assistant, but we can leave it. It's gonna have to come, whatever you use, it's gonna have to come before us anyways.
Absolutely, and Council, I will say this, that I know that that is a significant salary. I don't, it gives me flexibility. That's all, what I'll say, and I would prefer to keep it where it is, and there'll be some negotiating in terms of the salary for whoever is in that position. And to be honest with you, I'm not even certain that that position will remain as a position in my office. This is an opportunity for me to look at reconfiguring my office a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do. But for now, I wanted to keep the position in, keep it at the salary it was, and that would provide me some flexibility in terms of how we move forward in July and after that.
That's fine with me, Mr. Mayor. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas?
The budget seems to be very lean, John, and I think if we get into further cuts of any magnitude, we're going to run into problems again. And I think the budget's been lean for the last 10, 15 years, and this is rock bottom. Thank you.
Yeah, I had the weekend to look over the budget, and I had the same question in my head that Councilor Patch did with regard to the administrative assistant. And, you can look at it two different ways. You can look at it as a cost to the city of $120,000, or you can look at it as a money that is in there so that we can get somebody that is qualified and has a knowledge of city government to work with you to make this city a little better every day. And I think that's, at the end of the day, it might be money well spent. What I'm going to do is, after each department is heard that this evening, I'm going to ask the councilors to look at the budget, and if they see anything that they feel hasn't been addressed, to make a notation, and then when we finalize the budget, we can address that at that point. But as far as I'm concerned, I would be, at this point, reluctant to change that number. I've seen some of the positive things that this gentleman has done down there, and which I know are coming very soon to the city, and I feel comfortable with that. And any other councilors have any questions? Councilor Haas.
Not pertaining to your department, but how's the insurance claim from the hurricane coming about? I mean, that's been extended.
Absolutely. And it's timely, given the situation that we found ourselves in at Councilor Janino's desk this
Exactly.
afternoon. So there is some news that I can share. We've had an ongoing conversation with the insurance, with our public adjuster and with the insurance company about coming to a final settlement. George? So I can tell you that we've come to an agreement on a settlement with the insurance company. I haven't signed all the documentation yet, so that will be kind of forthcoming, and we're actually going to be looking for the council to be able to appropriate out of that money that we get approved. But it is a significant amount of money, and I guess we've been working on it for a while, and we're going to make sure that whatever we do here gets done quickly and
It's been a long time
efficiently.
in coming.
Right.
And, you know, people working under conditions that are not tolerable, really.
Right.
And I think hopefully you're going to resolve the issues when you get the check
Right.
and disperse it. Thank
No,
you.
it's been an ongoing process, and it's been a long
yeah,
drawn-out process,
absolutely.
but it is coming to an end. We've finalized an agreement, and that happened last week. So
Really?
I'm going to communicate to the council when it's a done deal, and I sign on the dotted line, but we haven't done that. We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Thank you.
All right,
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your
Thank you.
attendance here this
Thank you.
evening, and if we have any more questions, I'm sure the councilors will be.
I will absolutely make myself available throughout this process. I appreciate the council's feedback, and I look forward to an ongoing dialogue. Myself and my department heads will be available, and we'll make sure that we get you all a budget with some page numbers on it too. So
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
thank you.
The next department on the list is the fire department. Chief Bright. It's about 40% through the book.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening. I'm going to open this up to councilors now, and have any questions? Councilor Ganasso. You have any questions? No. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you've done a fantastic job as chief, and I want to applaud you for that and for all your work for our city.
Thank you very
You have
much.
a very lean budget as well, and I don't have any questions about it, but I think, you know, one of the unique things about the budget process is that we have an opportunity to see all the department heads, and we may not see them all on a regular basis, even though you guys are all everywhere. Just to really thank you for the job that you do and the service that you provide for our community, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica.
Councilor Morabito.
All set.
No questions.
Thank you.
First, I want to recognize Councilor Zambudo, who is here with us this evening to discuss the budget. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I know it's a very lean budget, and I want the people aware that you've settled all your contracts too, I believe,
Yes.
so that's all figured in here.
I don't think it's in these actual figures, but there is, the mayor has an account set aside, I believe, out of his end to cover the increases. I don't think those are reflected on, not in my paperwork here anyhow.
Okay. I just saw one here that there's a vacant for a spot for a deputy chief. Is that still vacant?
No,
I thought
there's
you
no
filled them
vacancy.
all.
There is no yes. There's no vacancies right now for deputy chief.
All right, he's got, oh, no, he doesn't have it for the 2008. You're right. Thank you.
I think that was filled this past year.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas. Councilor Haas? You have no questions? Councilor Zambudo? Okay. I have two things.
Yes.
First of all, I want to compliment 926, your union, or your department union, and yourself and everyone else that was involved in doing the work on that memorial down there, which we all were down there Sunday morning to attend the memorial exercises. My other concern is, of course, as you all know, I look at that building down there. It's a building that can never be used because of the deed restrictions for anything else but fire department activity. I noticed there's a lot of brickwork as well as the work inside that needs to be done down there. And I would hope that your department, yourself, would get together some type of an estimate and a plan to rehab that building, because with all of the new work building-wise coming online in the city, we've probably got about 1,500 units that'll be coming online within the next 2 or 3 years. And most all of those are being built as a matter of right. The zoning was in place. There was nothing that we really had any control over. But I think we do have control over what is given out with regard to fire apparatus and employees of the fire department, men down there. I know you're probably talking about 4 groups to open that station, and I know we can't open it tomorrow, and we couldn't open it tomorrow even if the building was in perfect shape.
Right.
But I think if we could take prime times like mid-June to Labor Day, when the traffic is very heavy in the city, and use some of this revenue, we're going to be getting in approximately $600,000 from Beach House every year, and to dedicate some of that money toward opening that station for that period, and then look at another period like maybe perhaps from mid-December until mid-March, when we get the heavy snow and when it's more difficult for apparatus to negotiate throughout the city. I think that might be a good way to go. So you know better than I do, of course, but I think just to leave that building there like it is, it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's like an automobile. If you don't take care of the little things that go, pretty soon you're going to have something that isn't worth anything. And I know if the 926 can get that memorial looking the way it did down there on Sunday, I'm sure the city of Revere can get that building up to code. And I want to thank, I have no problem with your budget. I've looked through it over the weekend, and I think everything is clear and precise, and we know exactly where we're going. Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted a point of information.
Councilor Patch.
I really hope, I've been listening to your little speech on the fire station down the Pines for 10 years now.
It's a serious matter.
So I hope, Chief, that you really can put a stop to this and put a fire engine in there. For Councilor
let me tell you
Powers, who does
something.
a fine job for his ward. And
Wow, listen, I appreciate the councilor's advocacy all these years. He's been really a staunch supporter. We're on the same page there. I know the membership appreciates your kind words. They make me shine, honestly. They step up anything I ask them to do like that. We all want to see that station open again. I believe we can do it. Maybe not tomorrow, like you say, but, we've done our part as far as cleaning that place and try to maintain it as much as we possibly can. And I think at some point in time, I've had conversations with the mayor about a capital improvement plan, maybe roll some money out over a few years, and we can get to that point, I believe. The mayor was gracious enough to add 4 positions to our budget this year, so that does not give us enough manpower to open Engine 2 right now, but again, it's a step in the right direction.
It's a beginning, and perhaps
That's right.
even if we can get it open
And
on an interim
I feel that
basis, that'd be great.
we will be able to do
And I
that.
feel very confident with you at the helm that that'll
you, sir.
happen. Thank you, Chief.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'm going to call on Captain Guido now, Police Department.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Captain. I'm going to open this up now to Council Morabito. Council Morabito has no questions. Councilor Patch, it's one of your former colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Captain.
Hello.
I'll ask the same question. I know that the patrolman union has agreed to their contract. You're still in negotiation, is that correct?
Yes, the patrolman's entire raise is in the budget.
Pardon me?
The patrolman's entire settled raise is in this budget.
Is in this budget?
Yes.
I have one question on the chief's salary for the upcoming budget. I know it was posted on the job description when it came out, $175,000. I never could get an answer if that's going to include, is that going to be the total salary for the chief, or the stipends in the contract, will they be above the base salary?
I don't want to speak for the mayor, but I believe that's his intention with some small amount of negotiation, but he wants to be around that number.
I think it's too low. I mean, I said that at the...
Well, I don't know if it includes a couple of things, so that'll have to be discussed at a later date, I guess.
Okay. I'm sure you'll negotiate that well. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for your input, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe the, what is it, B2 schedule, is that what, that's in the fire department, right? The
No,
B2 schedule?
We have a B2 schedule.
And I
It's,
believe that's extra beyond the
It's
salary.
hazardous duty pays in the
Exactly.
B2 schedule,
Right.
and some specialized jobs, detective, K-9.
Right, exactly.
There's like 20 stipends, and all the patrolmen's hazardous duty and all of the superior supervisors differentials all lumped in that
Right.
category.
It's all contractual also.
Everything's contractual.
Right.
The only real change was in the building maintenance. The building's getting older. There's been some problems maintaining all the heat pumps, so I had to raise it up a little.
And what about the mechanic?
I believe the mayor's addressing that with his union, and that
That's a
should be
union issue,
resolved
correct?
soon.
That's a
And that'll be
union.
part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Chief, Captain. Forgive me, I'm just looking to see how much of an increase the budget has gone up. Not very much.
Actually, without the raises, it probably went down a little.
I see that. So I don't suspect there's a lot of fat to cut off the police budget.
No, we're down about 8 or 9 patrolmen. There's 4 that are counted in the numbers will be coming out of the academy, and we're going to try to get 2 groups of 4 and 2 academies in the fall, but we're constantly playing catch-up.
So what's the total manpower right now, budgeted?
Well, there's 4 people out injured. There's one employee will be on maternity leave. 1 employee's on long-term military. So
What does that give us for a total with those people missing?
we're budgeted for 103, and we have about, I'll say 98. But that then you have people out injured on military,
So-
on maternity leave.
So let
So
me
we're
ask,
down 10.
so let me ask you a question about the
Working bodies.
long-term injured. Are they projected to come back, or are they, have someone looking at a permanent disability?
I think
or-
2 will be coming back and 2 will be going out on permanent disability.
Well, thank you. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Captain Guido, the call center, who is handling that part of that budget?
The new director will be here for that.
He should have been here tonight.
Is it tonight? I don't know if he was notified, but I did look over their budget, and I added in what it was costing. We had police and fire doing those functions and the call takers, so the budget seems in line with what we were spending in the past. And as you know, Winthrop's contributing, and we also get state money, so it's still believe it or not, even though it's been going on for so long, it's still a little bit of a work in progress. But it's really come a long way in the past 6 months. It's up and running now. We have a director. They just named some supervisors, and it's the dispatching's got a lot better. So I think we're making great progress. And I don't know if the fire chief's still here. I think he would agree with that.
It's right here, yeah. Well, I would hope that at the next meeting, somebody would be here from that department. So, Councilor Patch.
Thank you for letting me speak again. One question, I was trying to find it here in the budget. As far as the IT position that was just withdrawn, but the mayor did say that he was going to put it out for, put it out again for bid or post it again. I don't think I see it in here.
I think it's in computer maintenance in case we're not able to get someone. We're going to have to go with contracted services, which would not be as good as having our own employee. That was, I know I wasn't here for the meeting, and I know the council made the decision, but that kind of set us back a little. But we need to find someone. It's an important role. There's a possibility the person doing the IT work now will be promoted. So there's a lot of things going on. And that's one job we really need to fill, because in this day and age of policing, everything's IT. Every aspect of the job, computers in the cars, everything's computers, wireless, and we really need someone.
Well, I understand. You have a captain and a lieutenant doing that job right now, isn't that correct?
Yes, and I don't know if he has 100% the expertise.
That's like $300 worth of salary right there. I
an
mean,
IT person. We're doing the best we can, Counselor. You know how it goes.
I understand, but I mean,
For years, we tried to privatize that function, and it just has never taken place. Everybody knows we'd be better off having a expert IT person versus a police officer doing that job. There's no one in disagreement.
okay, but again, I just,
I believe it's under, if you see, the mayor put a footnote under computer services. I think he added it in there, the amount for now. Hold on.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes, you'll see computer services, account 522400, he added 47,264. And I believe that's for that function.
Okay, I see it
But you
here
can
now.
make a notation to, or I'll find out and can get back to the
No, it's
council.
fine. I just, I see it here now,
Okay.
47,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Captain, I just have one question. What is I know in some of the cars in other cities and towns, I don't even know if we have it in this city, but they have the capability of, if a car goes by and it's on a list as a stolen car or a car that was used in a commission of a crime, some of the police cars have a system in where they can pick that up right away. Is that?
I can't really hear you, Counsel. The push bumpers?
No, something that if a car goes by, a cruiser, and
Yes.
that car is a stolen car, or it's on a list of being a stolen car, or it's been used in the commission of a crime.
The license plate readers would be able to detect that, but I don't believe they're all up and running right now.
So
That
we
was-
don't have them up and
We
running.
have them, but they need some
When would you
license
anticipate
updates and some service.
when would you anticipate they would be up and running? And is there money in the budget for that, to make that happen?
That would come under maintenance, and I can't answer that question right now.
Okay, because, yeah. Well, and the reason I ask that, given all of the traffic we have coming through the city, 107, 1A, the Boulevard, American Legion Highway, Pennington Street, I think systems like that should probably be in every car we have out there.
I believe we have 4 units, and they need to be, also, we've been working with Ruben, try to get them back up and running.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sure.
Council.
John, I have one.
Councilor Hess.
Captain, as far as in an accident, if a police vehicle responds to an accident, what's their procedure? As far as getting, if they damage public property, they hit a fire hydrant, or they hit some other,
An accident report.
yeah, do they put an accident report in?
Personal injury, accident report, vehicles towed, accident report, any public property, accident report.
Because we get reimbursed for that, naturally.
For the public, oh, absolutely. public
Absolutely. I
property.
just want to make sure we're still.
In the state,
adhering
the
to
same
that.
thing, guardrails,
Yep,
street signs.
okay. Thank you.
Captain, thank you very much for your attendance here this evening, and no more questions.
Thank you, Council.
You didn't have any questions, did you, Councilor Janino? Or did you?
I have to recuse myself from the police department budget, but thank you for coming. My dad's on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. I'm going to call next the Director of Finance. Good evening, Mr. Manzoni.
How are you? Thank you.
I'm going to open up the council, starting at my left now. Councilor Zambudo.
I'll have to pass.
You pass, okay. Councilor Haas. Councilor Patch. I think we're all busy trying to find out what page you're on.
I just want to say this, I'm not only here for my Director of Finance, but also the office, but the debt service, the workman's compensation, medical benefits, workman's compensation, unemployment, and the health insurance and Medicare taxes. So I'm here to answer those questions on those 3
Councilor
parts of the
Janino.
budget.
I'm still looking for the page. I apologize.
Okay,
I just
that's
had
fine.
it. So if you want to go to
Councilor
the next
Morabito?
one, and I'll come back.
What are we near? I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is another very lean budget. There's not many other line items that have changed in it in my review. Did you feel as if any needs you had for your department were met, or that there were any positions missing or anything that you needed?
No, that's fine. We have had a discussion with the mayor and the budget team, and at this time, there are positions that have been cut, but there may be a possibility for the future. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And I thank you for that question.
Councilor Haas.
Judge, as far as people paying the water and sewage bill
Right.
of late,
Okay.
someone just indicated to me they paid and they were charged $8. What's that about?
Did they pay the bill late?
No, they just paid the bill. It's not due to the 20th, next week, and they were
got
charged the next
$8?
$8. Yeah,
I don't know what that's about. Have them check with my office,
okay.
okay?
Because I've heard other people saying they get charged interest. And I'm saying, why interest? It's
Why
not
is it
due.
not due?
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a
Well,
charge?
it depends on who paid, because the residentials aren't due, but the monthly commercials, I do. So it depends if it's a commercial or residential.
It's not a commercial
Not commercial,
enterprise.
residential.
So I'll
Okay.
have them get in touch with you?
Have them get in touch with my office, that's right.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
They can look it up.
Thank you.
Councilor Ganasso? No questions. Anyone else? I just have one question.
Yes, I still can't find it.
Currently, what is our capacity to bond?
Capacity to bond, I don't have that off the top of my head, but we're not near our limit, because what happens is, say, for example, when a school goes on board, it's outside the levy limit, and comes on board, and that drops from the calculation. And what I did a few years ago is there was some $85 million worth of bond authorizations I had rescinded, so that we wouldn't be carrying unnecessary debt authorizations. So we're not close to what our levy, excuse me, not a levy limit, but our debt limit is.
The reason I ask that question is, day to day, you hear a lot of talk in the coffee shops and out on the street.
Right.
People asking about a high school, people are asking about a new DPW building.
Right.
Something else that we mentioned tonight was improvements to the fire station. And
Right.
I'm just curious to know as to how much capacity we would have down the road if something like that came up.
I think we have the capacity to do all of those, depending on the figures, we have the capacity to do those projects. However, how it fits into our budget and how it fits into the levy limit, that's where the questions come up. So I do think we have, if we have we need to, because the school is really outside the levy limit, and especially when you get reimbursements. So once the school is completed, it just drops right off. So that doesn't cause a problem. So that would be the high number, I'm sure.
Well, you get reimbursements on the schools, but we're still paying the city's
We're
portion.
still paying the debt. We're still paying the city's portion, but again, it drops off your debt calculation because it's outside the debt limit.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, the auditor. You're next. Good evening, and thank you for your attendance.
It's on? Okay. Do I need to say my name or anything, or?
Well, yeah, I'm going to
record?
open it up to councilors.
Okay.
And down the road, if they have any, see anything that they want to eliminate,
Okay.
they'll do that when we have our final meetings. Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. Chairman, it doesn't appear that Laurie has too much of a budget before us, and it's certainly after many years of public service to this city. She ought to know what she's doing, and apparently she does. And I thank you for your good work and good effort that you put forward for our city in keeping us on the right trail. You did notice a couple of things over the past couple of years that you brought to our attention, which was very favorable to us. It worked us out of situations that we shouldn't have been in, and we applaud you for that. And your
Well, thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it.
your review of the records, as you always do, is fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Councilor Maravito?
Once again, no questions.
Okay, thanks.
Councilor Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that there's really been no increase as far as salary from this budget to the next.
Yeah, my budget was cut one principal clerk this year. I'm not sure. I think they decided they wanted to use the resources for some other departments that didn't have or needed enough funding. But you'd have to discuss that with the mayor.
As far as your help in your office, I'll ask you, but by the time I found the director, he already As far as the workers at City Hall, they're all in the same union, is that correct? Would you know that?
The staff in my office?
Yes.
They're all in Unit B.
Have they settled their contract yet?
I don't believe so. I haven't been told that, right? No, I don't think so.
Okay, so that's, there's no money,
No, there's no salary increases this year yet for that particular unit. And our unit, Unit A, there's no salary increases yet either.
okay.
So,
Well, I hope they get one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Counselor. Is the principal clerk needed?
I think it's needed, but,
Okay. How about the grant manager?
well, that was something I had suggested, but I think the mayor is looking at possibly dealing with that in a different way, so I think they're going to address that.
And as far as your office supplies, you went down $11,000. That seems to be quite high.
Well, this year, we had asked to do some additional items, and I think because we were limited to how much money we had to spend with the salary increases that we're projecting, all of that, there wasn't enough money to do it this year, so possibly we'll address those things next year.
Okay. What about the farm development services? What is that?
I'm sorry.
$7,500 last year.
Oh, well, that is something that we're trying to finish up this year. We may have enough money to get that done, and we have a consultant doing some work on that. So Munis has limitations in terms of the type of reporting that we can do. And so we've been talking with an outside consultant to try to generate some new reporting mechanisms so that we can generate reports that help us to file our year-end reports and do our monthly reports as well.
And that will not affect the operation of your department, correct?
That will hopefully improve our resource, we'll be able to allocate some of our resources to other areas.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Hess. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Laurie, I want to thank you for your continued service to the city. You do a marvelous job.
Thank you, Tony.
I see that your budget is mostly salaries and insurance. It's really nothing to look at. I agreed with you for a grant manager. I don't know what direction the mayor's looking to go in. Maybe he's trying to get it through a grant or something. I don't know. But
Well, it was something that we had discussed, and I think that they are looking at other options in terms, it was really more of a marker in terms of having a discussion about it this year because it is something moving forward that we need to address.
I think we all know that a grant manager usually brings in a tremendous amount of money for a small salary. So I'd support you in any way if we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laurie? Oh, I just want to thank you publicly for the job you do down there. Every time I've ever come into that office for information, you've always had that information accessible to me, and it helps me work a little better for the city and for my constituents, so I certainly want to know. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, anytime, my office door is always open. Thank you.
Thank you. Assessors. Good evening, gentlemen, from the Assessors Department. And I know that Councilor Ganasso, I'm going to call on you. Do you have any questions for the assessors?
Well, I had many, many, many questions, Mr. Chairman, and after further review, I did the reconciliation and came to wits with it, and I thought there's, with the new leadership of Dana and Han, and the able company of John Berenger, I mean, how can you go wrong? I think I applaud you for the good work. Keep our tax rate down, work as hard as we can to spread it out, and the people of Revere will love you for that. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilor Ganasso. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was a very lean budget with little to no change, so I have no questions either, and I agree with everything my colleague to my right said.
Thank you.
Councilor Maravito.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. Thank you, guys. Make a dynamic duo, you know. Everything's run perfectly. There's always room for improvement, but none that I can see right now. Yeah, in comparison to last year, the budget is just the same. So I have no further questions.
Thank you, Councilor Maravito. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dana, I want to congratulate you. You're the chairman now. I know you know that you have big shoes to fill with the loss of Andy Iavana.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be sorely missed by us, I'm sure my colleagues and myself, over his service over the last several years in the Assessors office. But I believe you're going to, with next appointment committee that I'm on, that you're going to get some help with another assessor.
Right.
And I wish you continual good service and thanks for the work you do.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Counselor. Patriot Properties, are they due this year for complete revaluation?
Yes, so this year, fiscal 18 is a revaluation year.
And you have the money in the budget for that?
We do.
Okay.
And in addition to the revaluation, it's a full list and measure year, so every 9 years, Department of Revenue requires that we attempt to go out to all the homes, measure them and list them, so that is also included.
To the counselor, would it be advisable for you to speak about the individual that we have in Council Ganasso's appointment committee?
Sure. So Matthew McGrath, he's a lifelong City of Revere resident. He's actually worked for Patriot for the past 12 years. And in my opinion, he's one of the best employees they have over there. Anytime we have a revaluation going on or a full list and measure going on, he's the person who I request to have work for us, because he really is the best they have. So, of course, we do have a great loss with the past chairman, but I think Matthew is going to be a welcome addition to the office.
Thank you and good luck in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dana, I too want to congratulate you on your promotion, and I agree you have big shoes to fill. We all love Andy and know what a wonderful public servant he was, and we're very lucky here in the city of Revere. We got two guys up here that are great public servants. Unfortunately, in the world of people's, I want to say jealousy, but people always think that someone that works for the city or the state are hacks and not, they don't give the respect that public servants deserve. And you, especially you two, yourself and John, are, and of course Andy, but speaking of Andy in the past tense, it's not comfortable, but anyhow, I just want to thank you for your service. Like I said to the auditor, there's salaries and insurance in your budget, and I don't see anything else that we can tinker with. So good luck in your new job, and I know you're going to do a great job, and John always does a great job, and whoever replaces Andy hopefully will do a job. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. I just have one question. The property down on Revere Beach Boulevard, Beach House, when When do you anticipate that fully coming online? And what do you anticipate in the form of tax revenue from that
Sure.
property?
So we're a Chapter 653 community, which basically allows us to, on any construction or permits, any work like that, we can go to June 30th as the assessment date. So whatever work is done as of June 30th, that's what we'll be able to capture for the fiscal year. So of course, as they phase in the work, that's when we'll be capturing everything. So I know they have some framing and things like that up to this date. So we'll be capturing some of that for fiscal 18 and then progressing forward. Yeah, so we're probably looking at next fiscal year, they'll be closer, closer to complete than they are now.
Right.
But of course, we picked up the land and the unit values that go with that already.
And we'll pick up the excise tax also.
Hopefully, we get them all. We want them.
Hopefully, they're high-end units and they'll be high-end vehicles.
High-end vehicles, exactly.
Right, exactly. I want to thank both of you for coming here tonight and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Marie? Good evening, and thank you for coming here. Councilor Ganasso.
It's another budget, Mr. Chairman, that obviously is not very much play on it. So all we can do is wish Marie well and proceed as usual. The only thing that we look forward to is the performance of the duty as a purchasing agent, which is a very responsible one. And you've been doing it for so many years and doing such a good job at it. So everybody seems to be pleased with your performances. So I think it's self-explanatory that we wish her the best in going forward because the budget itself is very lean. Nothing much to look at. Congratulations, do a good job.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hate to be redundant. If you notice, everyone keeps saying lean. There's not much to it. It's true. I pulled Marie aside earlier and told her what a good job she does. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleague here that it's very lean. What, you only work with there's only 2 years in the office? Only 2 of you in the office? So,
Would you push the button, Marie? Okay. Thank you.
no, I just could thank you for the great work you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You have to work with what you got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Counselor. You've been there for a long time, you know the system, and I guess you just caught something that was an error, and I appreciate that too. That saved the city a great amount of money, and you do a good job, and what else can you say? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll say what I said privately, that I appreciate your professionalism. A lot of people are upset when you nitpick, and I can't be specific about something you caught because we can't talk about it, but it did save the city a lot of money, and we're very happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Marie, I want to thank you also. I was in there today regarding Butler Circle, and you had all the information right out there for me, and with your expertise in moving that along, I'm sure that'll be happening within the next several weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
MIS Director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
All right. I'm going to start over here. Councilor Ganasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My apologies for Hass and I coming for you for city email. And then one of your workers discovered that, say, what's wrong with Bobby's email? It was in airplane mode. So that was a great. So you do deserve all the credit, well, you and your staff, for bearing up with us and giving us city email and putting us online in the 21st century and making us part of the system. And once in place, it's very evident that it's very workable, and all the information and data that we need comes through, and it's the way to go. And certainly, we know all the efforts that go through in your department in keeping this building afloat, and all the machinery and equipment that has to be worked on and cared for. And with your expertise in leadership, it's working. So keep up the good work. And again, your budget isn't very much to talk about. So we just thank you for your service and go forward. Thanks.
Thank you. It's a team effort, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glenn, hopefully that's the least of your problems, right? Airplane mode?
Yeah.
I notice in the budget, there's $395,000 requested for firewall, because I believe last year, we were not up to date with our firewall, right?
That's correct.
So I'm glad to see it's in the budget for the next year.
We're making strides. We're trying to get ahead. Thank you.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glenn, I want to thank you. I haven't been up your office before until they made us get the city email address. And I hope that I see in the conditions you work in up there that somewhere that down the line they have to give you more space and more. I don't know how you and your crew up there handle it. And I also want to thank you for your help and that I've required.
No problem.
With the IT. I'm not a specialist with this IT stuff, but I'm getting there. But again, thanks for the help, and hopefully you will get the space that you do need up there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Hass.
Thank you, Counselor. One of my best hires was Glenn, without question, and I think you've really produced over the years. I have a question as far as upgrading our computer system. Where are we at that stage now?
It's been about 10 years since the last major upgrade.
Yeah.
And we're due. So in this budget, there's a little improvements planned, so we're going to start taking advantage of that.
Are we up to standards as far as cities and towns compared to the Commonwealth of Mass?
I think we're average.
Average?
Yeah.
And
We've
you're gonna make
fallen
it
a little behind, but with this year's budget, we'll pick it up.
pick up?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You do a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hass. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, you're a terrific public servant. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record here, but for years you were a one-man band here doing everything. And I've been here a lot of years, and I've been using my private email for all these years, and I was told I had to finally come in and go on Revere.org email, and I found out you had an assistant. I came in, and he was terrific and very helpful, and I'm happy you finally got an assistant after all these years.
And a good one.
We appreciate your service. Those of us that have been here many years know what you've done in the past and what you do every day. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Perhaps this question I should have asked from Mr. Anzoni when he was here, and We have, in the past, requested, I know I have point of sale equipment in each and every department in the city, so that when a person comes in and pays for a library fine or a building permit or whatever, they get that money goes into a system.
Yep.
To a central area, and they get a receipt with the date, just like if you went to McDonald's to buy a hamburger. Where are we with that right now with regard to having that 100% throughout the city?
DPW, building department, library, the collector's office, park and rec buildings, they all have them.
They all?
They're all in use.
Okay, so if I go into the library and pay a fine, I'm going to get a receipt?
They have the system there, yes.
Yeah, okay. They're all operational?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay. Office of Innovation and Human Services. Laurie, is there something you wanted to, I don't want to hold you here. Okay, thank you. Turn your mic on, please.
Sorry. I'm here for both innovation and data management and for the HR department.
Okay. Councilor Granasso.
Ruben, how close are we to selecting a human resource director?
We are very close. Our HR contract with Collins Center ends at the end of this month. We hope to have an HR director this summer.
And they're going to work for the amount of money that's been listed here?
That's the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
No further
Council.
questions.
Thank you, Councilor Granasso. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you. I have a similar question. So will the human resource director, will it just be her for the human resource director, her and Elaine Fielden? So there'll be 3 people in the whole human resource department to take on the entire city?
We're going to start with 2 people. We know that an HR director is going to need a clerk to be able to do a lot of the paperwork, and that is certainly in the plan for the near future. But for right now, we are funding that office for 2 people.
But realistically, what is the vision of how many total in staff would we need to run a legitimate HR department for the city?
I have never run an HR department myself. I believe that we can run a solid HR department with 3 people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Morabito. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ruben, I see you're the director of the Office of Innovation and Data Management. Could you give us a brief description of the duties and what you actually do?
Sure. I'll try to do that briefly. So in addition to opening up a 311 center, which we're going to have the soft launch in the next month, I'm also spearheading the effort to put electronic permitting into inspectional services, as well as a number of other departments. I'm working with the Public Works Department on a major upgrade for their work order software. I've been working on an initiative related to, we call it the Working Cities Grant. It's a Boston Federal Reserve grant related to some initiatives around landlords and tenants and housing. I have what else? I'm also supporting a lot of the efforts related to the cluster meetings that the mayor is running on a weekly basis with the department heads, bringing data to those. I meet on a weekly basis with the head of Public Works to go over his data to ensure that all of the service requests and the work orders that are getting into those systems are getting fulfilled. One of the problems we still have is we have 2 systems. We have the service request system with C-Click Fix, and a work order system with Facility Dude. So just I've created a mechanism for transferring the information back and forth and being able to read that seamlessly. But ideally, in the new system, we're going to be able to have that done, synchronize the two systems so we don't have to manually transfer that information. There are many other tasks that I'm involved with. I look at data on a regular basis for many of the different departments, from the police to the public works to inspectional services. So I have, I don't know if I don't have a job description written out, but I certainly find my days busy, and it's definitely not a 40-an-hour-a-week job. So.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like you got your hands full. But as far as that 311, the 311 system?
Yes, sir.
When is that going to come online?
So we're hiring staff, I'm hoping in 2 to 3 weeks. Then we will do several weeks of training, and then we'll do a soft launch. The soft launch is going to transfer a couple of numbers, internal numbers in the city hall to that department, and give them several months to sort of try out, make sure that we're up and running, just practice, learn, figure out what we got right, what we haven't done right. I've been spending the last many months building a 600-plus question and answer knowledge base for them to answer that will also be available for the public. And so they'll have to become familiar with that in all the departments, and see if we got the answers right, and just that will be sort of the process. And then we will actually go live sometime in the fall, where 311 will go live.
Well, good luck.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My main goal is the HR person, without question.
Absolutely.
I hired one way back in 1992, and it didn't last long. And I can't wait for that day to come into the city government and control employees' absences, sick time, and all of that stuff that means a lot.
Absolutely.
Especially in the council, especially in the sense that we are open to legal issues that if we're not followed certain procedures. I think from what you said, they're interviewing presently. Hopefully that will be done, resolved.
Yeah, we have a candidate, we hope, but we're working through the process.
Have they been interviewed as of yet?
Pardon me?
Have the candidates been interviewed?
We have interviewed candidates. We've had 2 rounds of interviews already.
Really?
So, yeah.
Has the Collins Center been involved in that?
Yes, they have helped run our HR search.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I've learned a little here tonight. I know a little bit about what you do. You do a lot more than I thought you did, so that's always a good thing.
Thanks, I think.
I, like my colleague to my right, have been maybe not screaming, but shouting for a human resource director for a long time up here. And I'll be at least as happy as him, maybe happier when we get one, a qualified one, of course. And I know the process you're going through that we will have. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. I think the Human Resource Office is just another step in the right direction in getting the city to run more efficiently and effectively for the ratepayers. So I want to applaud your office and the mayor on that. Could you just briefly describe the 311 system for the edification of people that may be watching the meeting?
Sure, I'll do it briefly. We will have a full rollout, once we go live, hopefully in the fall. The brief version is it's a central number for constituent services. So one office that handles all, so you don't have to remember what's the number for DPW or ISD or whatever other community development. And also, if you don't know, oftentimes people get bounced around from office to office because questions can be complicated. So we have one office that will be a centralized place that will make sure that you get an answer, and it will be accessible both by phone from dialing 311 anywhere within city limits, as well as a new mobile device that is a mobile app that's going to replace See-Click-Fix and a web app as well. So that's kind of the very brief version, but you should see a significant upgrade in constituent services, in people feeling like they're being heard, And, certainly the customer relations portion of that is very important for changing a little bit of the image, I think, of
So if
City and City Hall.
somebody has a tree that needs to be taken care of, or a
Yep.
pothole, or
Yep.
whatever it might be, that'll go into a central registry, so to speak?
Right.
And a record will be kept?
That's right.
Dated, timed, and,
All of that, yep.
Okay.
So it'll be, if you have a service request, as you say, a tree or a pothole, if you have a question, what day is my trash getting picked up this week, or whatever, those are the kinds of things that we'll be able to answer quickly with a single call to City Hall.
thank you very much. That's a step in the right direction for the ratepayers in the city. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Well, that concludes the June 12th meeting of the Ways and Means Committee, and we'll be back here, I believe, on Thursday evening and review some other departments. And I want to thank all those who attended and also my colleagues for attending this evening. Thank you very much.